George Pickens, an elite high school talent who turned it into productivity on the field right out of the gate in Athens. 49 catches, 8 touchdowns. We got Palmer Toms on the line to break down Georgia football for us. He's running through all the positions, so you got to check out all the videos to get you set for Dogs spring practice. All right, Palmer, putting you back to work. We got Tyler Simmons. He had a fairly productive season with 21 catches. Lawrence Cager, of course, the transfer from Miami, caught 33, but so their productivity is going to have to be made up for. But Georgia, of course, like every other position, well stocked with elite recruits. So run it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, looking at my notes, I've kind of got these wide receivers and tight ends split into a couple different categories, and in a category of his own, top dog George Pickens. Coming into his sophomore season, coming off of the best game of his career in that 26-14 win over Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. Pickens had 12 catches, 175 yards, and a touchdown. If I remember correctly, it was 9 or 10 catches out of the gate that were Pickens, and he was the only guy helping Georgia move that ball down the field. And I think that's something that a lot of people got really excited about, watching that game. At the time, people weren't certain whether Jake Fromm was going to come back or not. There was some speculation about, James Coley, was he going to be back or not? Obviously, now he's at a tight ends coach at Texas A&M. Out as the offensive coordinator, in comes Todd Monken. And I think, it was that Sugar Bowl was really kind of a glimpse at what Georgia can be. With that big performance from Pickens, I think everyone's really excited to see what he can do in his second year. That second category, I would kind of throw Demetrius Robertson, Matt Landers, and Kyrus Jackson. All three of those guys were, major contributors. They weren't the deep ball guys. You've seen Robertson, flash at times, especially, looking back to his first couple seasons of college football at Cal. Transfers to Georgia. He's struggled at times at Georgia, and Matt Landers, has shown his inability sometime. And Kyrus Jackson, really battled with some injuries there this past season. I think those guys, kind of make up that second group. And someone else I would throw in that second group, probably borderline first group, would be Dominic Blaylock. He is coming off of an ACL injury, so Georgia fans won't see him this spring. But noting that position, and I think that's a spot where Kyrus Jackson could really, take this spring and kind of run with it. Blaylock coming off of an ACL injury that he suffered in the SEC championship game against LSU. I think the thought is that he's going to be back in August, in September. But Jackson's got a great opportunity to get a bunch of reps in that slot position, and learn it under this new offense and kind of run with it, and make that, a spot where once Blaylock's back, Blaylock's going to have to come beat him out. So that would kind of be your second category of guys. And then you've got some guys, you've got an early enrollee in Justin Robinson. I know Georgia fans are really excited about the receivers that they're bringing in. Robinson is the lowest rated of the of the 5. They added he would be the 4th of the 5th. They added Lad Monkney late in the class. But those 4 guys, Marcus Rosemy, Arian Smith, and Jermaine Burton, the 3 most notable, Georgia fans are really excited to see them. They won't be here this spring. So, Justin Robinson's gotten a chance to come in as a freshman, make a name for himself, before his classmates arrive. And then, guys like Trey Blunt, Tommy Bush, Micaiah Tongue, they've played, they've, gotten their reps, but they haven't been the guy. They haven't really been counted on as starters. You mentioned the loss of Cager and the loss of Simmons. Simmons has been in that lineup, for a long time, and not necessarily as a, downfield deep threat. A lot of his minutes, and he would be the first to tell you this, a lot of his snaps have come because he's a downfield blocker. Great special teams guy. Probably best known for, was he onside, was he offsides in that national championship game on the blocked punt against Alabama. And so that's those 3 guys: Trey Blunt, Tommy Bush, Micaiah Tongue, and throw in Justin Robinson there. really can earn some snaps in special teams, and should prove to the coaches. Kirby Smart's big on blocking downfield with his wide receivers. Prove to the coaches that they are willing to do the dirty work and block downfield, and that's how some of those guys can get some playing time and earn their opportunity.
I do think it's worth noting that even though personnel changes are common in college football, that Fromm has been the starter for 3 solid seasons, and he's a different quarterback than what they'll see with Jamie Newman. And what comes to mind is the Ohio State Clemson national champion or college football playoff game, where Justin Fields and Chris Olave on what could have been the game-winning touchdown pass weren't on the same page, and Fields scrambles. Olave breaks off his route thinking he's scrambling, and there's a miscommunication. The interception ends the game. So I don't think it's a huge deal. These guys will work together throughout the spring, except for the recruits that you just mentioned, and then on through August. But just of note that Fromm's a different quarterback than what they're going to see with Jamie Newman. They're going to have to get used to a guy that's going to break contain, and they're going to have to come back to the football, run to his side of the field, do the things that they need to do to break off routes and get open.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that was part of the reason why it was so important for Kirby Smart. Such a priority for him, getting a quarterback that can come in the spring, can work with these guys. Losing a guy like Jake Fromm has been a, staple for Georgia, at that position. And, now he's out of the mix, and you've got several different new guys in there, most notably Jamie Newman. And, everything that he brings to the table, as a scrambler, as a passer, as a dual threat kind of guy, and the new offense too. I mean, it'll be an interesting spring with these receivers, and with that position group being called into question so often last year. Under James Coley, he was the former wide receivers coach, transitioned into a quarterback and offensive coordinator role, and I think a lot of these wide receivers were called into question. Big opportunity as second, third year guys to make a name for themselves, prove themselves under this new offense, and, show the college football world what they can do, exactly like what George Pickens did in that Sugar Bowl.
So, Palmer, where do we stand at tight end? I believe Eli Wolf's gone, correct?
Eli Wolf and Charlie Warner both gone. So Georgia will be replacing their tight end. They did go out and get another graduate transfer, Trey McKitty from Florida State. He's not in this spring. So, as well as, number one ranked athlete, Darnell Washington. Those 2 guys figure to be, big guys in the rotation at tight end. But, like I said, neither of them are going to be here this spring. So you've got an opportunity for John Fitzpatrick, who's been more of a blocking tight end, as well as Brett Seether and Rylan Godey, 2 guys that were freshmen this past season, that both redshirted. Big opportunity for Fitzpatrick, Seether, and Godey to all make a name for themselves.
Folks, one of the big reasons why you should subscribe is we've got live streams coming your way almost every day. Don't always know when those are going to be, so that's not a set schedule, because we've got a schedule with a number of guests. So you turn on the notifications once you subscribe, and when we're coming with live streams. And then, of course, position breakdowns with the likes of Palmer Tom's Dogs 247 Sports. So lock it in right there to get more coverage from him. Palmer, we appreciate it.
Absolutely.